Atzeri system, 10 standard years after the Yuuzhan-Vong War. Slave 1 in pursuit of prisoner Habuk, Boba Fett's private record.
Whatever he's paying you, Fett, I'll double it,
says the voice on the comlink. They say that a lot. They just don't understand the nature of a contract. This time it's an Atzeri glitterstim dealer called Habuk, who's overstepped the mark with the Traders Coalition to the tune of 400,000 credits. A contract's a contract, I tell him. Slave 1 is close enough on his tail to give me a visual on him. I swear he's flying an old Z95 headhunter. No hyperdrive, or he'd have jumped for it by now. And no wonder he's surprised. An old fire spray like Slave 1 shouldn't be able to catch him on sublight drive alone. But I've fitted a few more, extras recently. The only completely original part of Slave 1 now is the seat I'm in.
My laser cannon's armed,
says Habuk breathless. Good for you. The galaxy's a dangerous place. The headhunter executes a neat turn to port with its aft maneuvering jets, and Slave's laser locks onto the headhunter's drive signature, matching its turns and loops with no need for guidance from me. His engine flares in a ball of white light. The fighter begins an uncontrolled roll, and I have to gun it to get the tractor beam locked on and hull Habuk in. The grapple arms make a satisfying ka-chunk against the headhunter's airframe as I secure the fighter against the casing above Slave's torpedo launcher. Habuk is making the noises of panic and pleading that I hardly notice these days. Some prisoners are defiant, but most give in to fear. He makes me offers all the way back to Atzeri, promising anything to survive.
I can pay you millions!
The contract is to deliver him alive. It's very specific.
And my stock holdings in co-op drive yards!
I think it's the silent routine that gets to them in the end.
Fett, I have a beautiful daughter!
He shouldn't have said that. Now I'm angry. I don't often get angry. Never use your kids, scumbag. Never. Landing on Atzeri is a little tricky when you're hauling a crippled fighter on your upperworks. I set Slave 1 down on the landing strip, lowering gently on the thrusters, feeling the aft section vibrating under the load. And I have an audience. The Coalition wants to show they can afford to hire the best to hunt down anyone who crosses them. I oblige. A bit of theater, a little public relations. Like Mandalorian armor, it makes the point without a shot needing to be fired. I walk along Slave 1's casing to clamber up onto the headhunter's fuselage and crack open its canopy seal with a laser housed in my wrist gauntlet. So I hit Habuk harder than I need to and haul him out of the cockpit to rappel down 10 meters to the ground on the lanyard with him. It hurts deep in my stomach. I don't let anyone see that. Then I deposit the prisoner on the landing strip in front of the men he owes 400,000 credits. He makes the point. I like making points. Presentation is half the battle.
Want to keep the starfighter too?
Asked my customer. Not my taste. The spaceport utility loader comes to remove it from Slave 1. I hold out my palm. I want the rest of my fee. He hands me the outstanding 250,000 creds on a verified chip.
Why do you still do this, Fett?
Because people still ask me. It's a good question. I ponder it while I sit back in the cockpit and catch up with the financial headlines on the HoloNet news as Slave 1 heads for Camino on autopilot. My doctor is meeting me there. He doesn't like the long journey, but I don't pay him to be happy. Now I find I'm thinking of a daughter, Aylin, who I haven't seen in 50 years, wondering if she's still alive. You see, I'm ill. I think I'm dying. If I am, then there are things I've got to do. One of them is to find out what happened to Aylin. Another is to decide who's going to be Mandalore when I'm gone. And the third, of course, is to cheat death. I've had a lot of practice at that.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Random House Audio presents Star Wars: Legacy of the Force, Bloodlines, by Karen Travis. Read for you by Marc Thompson.
Chief of State's reception suite, Senate Building, Coruscant, 16 days after the raid on Centerpoint Station.
The worst thing about being 13 years old was that one moment you were expected to be an adult, and the next everyone treated you like a child again. Ben Skywalker, 13 and confused about what was expected of him, sat trying to be patient in the reception area of Chief Cal Omos's offices in the Senate building, taking his lead from his cousin Jacen Solo. It was the kind of office designed to make you feel like you didn't matter. A whole apartment could have slipped into the space between the outer doors and the wall of Omos's personal office. Ben tried to occupy himself with the holozines stacked on the low grillwood table. The zines were all very dull and slightly outdated current affairs weeklies and political analyses, but one of them displayed an image of Jacen. Ben picked it up and activated it, smiling at the next image of a rotating Centerpoint station, which didn't look quite so good in real life, since he had helped sabotage it. The holo report featured clips of Corellian news of the raid on Centerpoint, but it didn't mention Ben, and he wasn't sure if that upset him or not. Some recognition would have been nice, but the Corellian sources that were quoted were pretty rude about Jacen, calling him a traitor and a terrorist. The report wasn't very kind about Uncle Han either. A middle-aged man Ben didn't recognize was telling the reporter what he thought.
So he calls himself a Corellian, but forget that blood stripe on his uniform pants. It might as well be a big yellow streak down his back, because Han Solo is just a Galactic Alliance puppet. He's betrayed Corellia by sitting on his backside doing whatever his Alliance buddies tell him to. And his son's just the same.
Jacen seemed embarrassed. Maybe he was more upset for his dad. Ben would have been. "You should use an earpiece to listen to those privately," said Jacen.
"But you're famous."
Ben offered him the holozine.
"Want to see?"
Jacen raised one eyebrow and seemed more worried about his meeting with Chief Omos. "Fine, but I could do without Thraken Sal Solo using me to humiliate my father in front of Corellia. You realize he gave all this information to the media, don't you?"
"Yeah, of course I do. But if we're not ashamed of it, why does it matter? We did the right thing for the Galactic Alliance. Centerpoint Station was a threat to everyone."
Jacen turned his head very slowly with that half-smile that Ben had learned meant he was impressed. "But a lot of worlds are taking Corellia's side now. So do you think those stories do any harm or not?" Ben could always spot a test. He knew he had to say what he believed. There was no point trying to be too clever. He wanted to learn from Jacen so badly that it burned him up.
"Some worlds will always go against the Alliance anyway, so we might as well let the people on our side know we're taking action. Makes them feel safer."
Jacen nodded approvingly, and Ben felt a little force touch somewhere in his mind, as if Jacen were patting him on the head. "That's very perceptive. I think you're right." Jacen's smile faded for a moment, and he glanced toward the doors of Omos's office, looking as if he was willing the head of the Galactic Alliance to finish his meeting and come out. Ben began to pick up what had caught Jacen's attention. There was a definite sense of conflict, of people arguing, and it was almost as clear as hearing it if you knew how to listen in the Force. Ben did now. Jacen was a good teacher. Ben concentrated on Jacen's face.
"What's happening?"
"Heavyweight politics," Jacen said, barely audible. Eventually the doors parted, and Admiral Niathal strode out, radiating annoyance. Chief Omos appeared in the doorway behind her and forced a smile.
"Ah, Jacen,"
he said.
"I'm sorry to keep you. Won't you come in? And Ben, I'm glad you could make it too."
Niathal glanced at Jacen as if she didn't recognize him. He acknowledged her with a slight bow of his head. "Admiral," he said, smiling. "A pleasure to see you." Niathal turned a little more to the side, the equivalent of a very frank stare for a Mon Calamari, a species with side-set eyes, and scrutinized both of them.
"You did a very fine job at Centerpoint Station, sir. And you, young man."
Omos beckoned Jacen forward. and Ben followed.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?